going on, my peeps? Your boy Versatile is back with another video, back with the official review of the Pixel 4 XL. Yes, what a solid device. A device that had to endure much criticism, this now tropey, trendy means of just bashing a device full of negativity. A lot of the criticisms was unjustified from two standpoints. One, it was either people who were not officially part of Team Pixel, as I was not either, but there was individuals who were not part of Team Pixel that decided to go in on the product. And then the other side was a bunch of Team Pixel users who did get the device but didn't want to feel like they were going to be a stand. So they thought they had to do their due diligence to try to destroy the product any way they could. So, as again, I said in the title, an understated gem, because amongst all the smartphones last year, there was some originality with this phone. There was some design choices with this phone that made it stand out. And in terms of software experience, amazing. But the first thing we're going to get into is actually what the device looks like. And before we do, make sure you guys like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, share this video anywhere else who's contemplating or even interested in Pixel devices or don't even know about it, and hit that notification bell so you know when I drop videos. Now, let's get into the review. So, as I said with the design, Google made a decision that only maybe one other company did, and I think that was Apple, and that was go matte glass. So on the back here it's white, but it's matted out. And I've actually dropped this a couple times, but you can't see anything. And as I've tried to peer into the light, there is no scratches on this. The sides are also matted out in black in terms of the metal framing. Very clean. It's got like decent smartphone heft to it. And just in the very corners along the device, you'll see a couple bumps on my unit. But I went with the panda color white and black with the orange button. They had two other options, which was all matte black. I think it had a white power button, and then the pumpkin spice, oh so orange, coral appeal color that was the Pixel 4 XL. So Google did a pretty decent job in terms of colors that they had to choose from. Now they sent most of the Team Pixel users with the pumpkin spice color. But as I started thinking about it, I really enjoy this white because the white is clean, is nice, and then with the black framing, you know, like this minimal lint, dirt and stuff like that, you don't see with this phone. And so in terms of the design choices that Google made for this is very, very nice. Most people out there who are software users like a Chris Perillo is not going to care about hardware, of course, understandable. But for those who actually kind of like holding a phone, which feels good, it's got a certain level of width, more on the narrow side, because of course on the front you see they got more of a bezel at the top that you don't notice, by the way, while you're using it. It appeals to us. It feels very good. And so you got two cameras on the back with the Apple-like square that will trend this year, 2020. The Google logo down here, and then which has a different material feel when you rub your finger against it. And then on the front, you got a camera, the face unlock, hardware, and the radar chip that is motion sense. So, as I mentioned motion sense, let's segue right into features. Google did a good job adding features such as face unlock. Now, one of the things that will be coming soon is able to scan your irises. So iris scanning being part of face unlock, that's not something that dropped day one with this. That will help it advance security. But in terms of face unlock, it's very fast. Very, very fast. I went into my settings actually and turned off like the always on display, but I use motion sense to actually turn the device on when I'm nearby. And so motion sense works along with face unlock to help you get into your device just as fast. You can also use face unlock in some apps for, you know, biometric security. And I think when iris scanning drops, it'll be available to like much more different apps. But for now, a few apps utilize it, and then scans your face, you're in. This device has scanned my face upside down, sideways, and standard, you know, right side up, and it works amazing. Sometimes it works too good where it's like, and along with motion sense, works too good where it's like, I'm just trying to hide my little light next to my bed, my wireless charging stand. When I dock it, you know, the light pops up. So I just try to take something to hide that light at night, and then it will recognize I'm near the device and instantly unlock the device. And I'm like, no. And so imagine how that feels at night from time to time. But it's actually not that bad. It's pretty enjoyable. Motion sense as well is very enjoyable. It's very accurate in terms of knowing when you reach for the device and it cuts on. Motion sense also works in the morning time when you don't want to fiddle around trying to swipe on the phone to turn off or snooze your alarm. I use motion sense to snooze my alarm. Very quick, easy, painless, I should say. The one area I think motion sense could actually improve is with music. Even though once you kind of get it, it will find its consecutive streaks of recognizing your swipes. But there are other times where you're just trying to swipe and it doesn't work, or like you're not gauging correctly where you're at, or the duration or how fast or slow you swipe your hand. And then sometimes while driving in a car and I'm holding my phone and I'm moving my phone from my hand from like in front of the phone to the steering wheel, it will swipe music then. So I'll be confused, like, yo, what is you doing? So I don't know if it's a matter of the phone has to be laying down, it has to be at a specific angle that kind of helps the radar chip recognize you swiping it back and forth. I do go way more in depth about motion sense in my motion sense video, so I'll put the little link or card right here. But for the sake of this video, motion sense is something that I think will grow and mature as Google updates it and improves it. Now, that's also a feature I hope that they continue to improve upon and not just put it in here for the sake of having its own original feature. That's something that I do find due criticism for in terms of being hopeful that Google actually utilizes its radar chip and improves upon motion sense in terms of other use cases outside of music and your alarms and such. So that big feature, please improve upon Google. The other feature that they included this year was styles and wallpapers. And I did a video on that too, which the link will be right here. And styles and wallpapers is basically a way for you to customize the look and feel of the phone. So you can customize font, you could customize the color of your quick settings or your notification panel. And you can also customize your icon shapes. And it's pretty good. I mean, you can have multiple different profiles that you could choose from. And you can also change your quick settings or notification panel icons as well. So it's pretty dope. You know, Google kind of maybe surprised us a little bit by giving us that kind of added customization that, of course, a lot of other Android makers kind of have, such as like, well, it's close to it, which is kind of like Samsung and its Galaxy Store, where you can actually download different app icon packs and stuff like that, and you can change your font in Samsung. Apple does not give you that customization, so it's nice to see that Google stepped up with that, and I find that very, very pleasurable to kind of, you know, tinker with from time to time. So motion sense and styles and wallpapers were a couple of the biggest features that they included with Face Unlock and the radar chip on this device. Now, in terms of cameras, another feature was added, and that was actually a whole new camera module, and that was for the telephoto lens. And it worked very well. I'm gonna have some videos pop up here soon once I get done kind of giving my 2 cents about the cameras, but of course, with the Pixels, you get great camera quality. I forget Top Shot's on here. Like, I know it's the Pixel 3's biggest feature, but the reason why I forget it's on here is because I don't use burst shot often. And that's where Top Shot actually works, is with burst shot. It picks out like the best images out of the bursts that you shot. And so with the telephoto lens, you can zoom in and still maintain very good quality, especially at like 2x. And then when you zoom in further, like 5x and 8x, the clear image, or not clear image, but I forgot what it's called, some clear res zoom that Google actually improved, that, you know, has on both camera modules, I believe, actually. You zoom in at 8x, you still get relatively good quality. I'll throw some images up as well of different stages of using these cameras at standard, 2x, and even up to like 8x, and you'll see like the quality is still very good. And so I definitely appreciate that, Google, you guys taking a step, and taking kind of a step in a different direction in terms of the cameras. Where I found there was unjust criticism was the fact that the cameras not only were good, but if you think about a lot that we do with our cameras, we do a lot of zooming in with the cameras. We like to zoom in, pinch in. Sometimes you catch moments on the street or at work. You want to zoom in and get it because you're already far away from probably the action. You want to zoom in. We had a sporting event or an event nonetheless. You had a concert. You're not trying to get a wide shot. You're trying to zoom in and get that artist on the stage, or that athlete, or that whatever performance is going on. You're trying to get in to see it. And so zooming comes in way more handy than wide angle. Now, I'm not going to say that wide angle is not useful, because when you're at parties and stuff like that, maybe you want to get a wide angle shot. But for a lot of stuff that we do, like the zoo and things like that, zooming in works so much better than having wide angle. And for Google to actually step up and improve upon the telephoto lens, maybe other companies will take the telephoto lens a little more serious as well. Maybe they'll add wide angle with the Pixel 5 or Pixel 6. We'll see. But it's their 5th phone overall, 4 years making phones. We gotta also cut them some slack in terms of how fast they're gonna get to doing things, because we also want products that are of quality. We don't want it just for the sake of wanting it. We want it because it's gonna be good. And so if Google's taking its time to learn and play around with computational photography to not just help telephoto out, but to also help wide angle, they're gonna appreciate that a lot more than them just throwing in wide angle because we want it. And one thing that they did add that does take advantage, I believe, of the telephoto lens is astrophotography. You can do astrophotography at night with the Pixel. I was outside and I tried to do it. It was pretty cool. Like, it takes about 2.5 minutes to, sit there outside and get it. And if it's cold, bring some gloves, bring some ear muffs or an ear band or a hat, a beanie or something. If it's warm, you won't have no issue. But being able to actually catch pictures of the stars with your phone is pretty cool, and you don't have to do a lot with it. Maybe you can in post be able to bring out a little more in terms of the stars and kind of wipe out some of the clouds, but basically like dehazing your picture maybe a little bit. But it's crazy how you can do that with a phone, and I could do that with a camera. So good job adding a different take to how we could actually use our cameras with the Pixel 4 XL. What is going on, my peeps? Your boy Versatile is back with another video. I picked a windy day to come out here, so everything that you're going to be hearing and seeing will be all strictly from the Google Pixel 4 XL. So if you hear wind, that's because I'm outside and it just happens to be cold. So right now I'm doing some testing with the front-facing camera. It's at 1080p. I believe it's 30 or 60 frames. And this is outside. I was kind of more like in the shade area, you know what I'm saying? To me, video quality looks just fine. I'm not overly concerned about 4K 30 or 4K 60 in terms of the rear-facing camera, because even as a creator, I don't use 4K on my phone like that. And a lot of other creators may not use 4K because of file size and having to worry about moving big files around. So 4K on the phone is not as big of a deal. Yes, from time to time I'll shoot off my phone, especially certainly off my camera, but on my phone from time to time I'll shoot 4K and I'll down res it to 1080p. But then right there, you know, lets you know that 4K on a smartphone is not a big deal. So in this video, you're gonna see video footage both from the front-facing camera, the rear-facing camera. Let me know how I sound, stabilization, the clarity, the contrast. Does it seem like it has trouble focusing? Does it seem like it kind of shifts or fades, with different lighting conditions? Let me know all that down in the comments below. You'll see camera footage from the rear-facing camera, the same thing, and you're gonna get photos strictly from the Pixel 4. So this is a Pixel 4 everything, camera test, video test. So that's enough for me in the front-facing camera. Let's go rear. I'm walking. How does a video test sound? Again, I know you're gonna hear wind because I'm outside, but I mean, it seems pretty fine to me. Looks good. Right now, this is at 1080p, I believe. I didn't change the settings. I didn't check. I'll check afterwards, and I'll put a title at the bottom, let you know what I'm shooting in exactly. But make sure I can cross the street here without getting hit. Alrighty. Alright, well, let's get some photos in now. Alright, so sorry for the low light, using the front-facing camera again to get me. We are out here at pitch dark night to get some astrophotography with the Pixel 4. I'm just going to take one picture. You put it on night side mode, and then it's going to let you know basically it's taking an astrophotography shot, and it's going to take roughly 4 minutes. And so you just sit back, watch the timer go down, and then you should have a nice clear shot of the sky. It does say to try to stay away from light pollution, so here we go. Now, how's the software experience on this? As other users may say or have said, maybe you've came across, when they did get the chance to use the Pixel 4 or Pixel 4 XL, despite having the OnePlus 7 Pro or the 6T or the 7T or other devices, being able to use or come back to the Pixel 4 XL, it kept pulling them back. Now, I actually traded back in my OnePlus 7 Pro for the Pixel 4 XL, and I haven't really missed the OnePlus 7 Pro. Now, a great, outstanding device, and I would have loved to actually keep that if I financially could have, but it speaks volumes to how well software is and how software is really the winner at the end of the day. The phone can look nice, the phone can have a ton of features, or can have not a lot of features. But if that software is on point, you can't help but use the device because you're not going to have any issues. So Google did have one mishap this year, but I think it was just because they wanted to focus on officially ushering out the OG Pixel, the first Google Pixel, out of the line of software support. So that's why in like November, December, we kind of got a pause in terms of software updates for the Pixel 4 XL, because they were basically pretty much focusing on the OG Pixel, sending that out. So that way now we just got the Pixel 2, 3, 3A series, and now the 4 series, all under software support still, and then software updates are still timely on here. The fluidity of the software, along with the 90 Hertz display, that was another feature that they added, is just good. I forced it on even after they sent out the update. I forced it on playing video games such as Marvel Contest of Champions. Very, very solid in terms of being able to just see how just smooth everything runs. I mean, whether it's website scrolling, whether it's video games, whether it's just everyday operability of the phone, it's good. Nothing really breaks on here. I don't think I've had any software crashes. I mean, maybe one, and it was probably because of the app, not because of the software. That's how solid this has been. That's why motion sense has been relatively good. That's why face unlock is good. All the features that they added work with the hardware, and that's the most important thing. 6 gigs of RAM, no problem. I mean, since when did 6 gigs of RAM become like a bad thing? Like, we used to crap on 4 gigs, I can understand that. But 6 gigs, like, come on now. Maybe in another couple of years, 6 gigs is gonna be bad, or maybe we'll need additional storage or RAM, but 6 gigs of RAM, perfect. No issues whatsoever with 6 gigs of RAM. I have the 64 gigabyte model, but it does come in 128 gigs. 64 gigs with how the software plays around with like my Google Photos, and how like it knows certain images can be awash, or it'll let me know to get rid of certain stuff, and I go in and delete stuff I don't need, like screenshots and stuff like that. I have had no issues with storage. I've never had to really go in and look and see how much storage I have left. I just go in, play with the device, delete stuff off that I actually don't need on here, and I keep it pushing. I have enjoyed this device. Of course, I would have wanted 128 gigs, but it's not a big deal. And I think this was probably the last year that we should see 64 gigs as a base minimum, at least on the Android side, because Apple. I would hope that next year Google starts off implementing 128 at the minimum, just because 128 is still comfortable. 64 gigs you'll get by, but 128 is comfortable. And that's where I think there was like medium-sized criticism. I wouldn't say it was unjust or just, but there's a fair level of criticism in there where Google can, for sure next year, implement more storage for the device or give us, external storage. But with how, I guess, security is being thrown around out there as the reason why we don't have external storage on like Apple devices, Google devices, and a couple other Android devices, just give us more storage then so we don't have to worry about that. Aside from that, I haven't had no issues with my 64 gigabyte storage Pixel 4 XL. It's been running me very, 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 very good. Now, with all that said, how has the battery life been? I ran a poll the other day, or earlier this week, about the smaller Pixel 4, because that was the one that actually was the most in question in terms of battery life, given the 90 hertz display and the smaller screen size and smaller battery size. Coming in at 5.7 inches, I believe. It had the fluid 90 hertz display, but it also had like a 2800 milliamp battery or something like that. Just crazy, kind of like tinkering on this. Okay, Google, you could have did a little better, but I got mixed reviews from that. For the poll, most people said it got a little better, it's decent, and then it was split between it got better and still bad. But overall, most people said decent. I also heard from users that the OG Pixel 4 for what it is, or not the OG, but for the Pixel 4 for what you get, and it really does depend on how you use your phone. Like, are you on it all the time that you need a big battery? Or does it make it through the day? You just throw it on the charger when you get home or before you go to sleep. Like, what are we, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are we designating as good battery life, really? Most people are saying they could at least make it through work on a Pixel 4. Like, that's not bad battery life, in my honest opinion. Now, with the Pixel 4 XL, battery life has been astonishing. Every day, especially for like the first 2 or 3 weeks, battery life was just getting better and better. And I still kind of feel that way, that battery life has been getting better and better. I was putting up screenshots earlier on Twitter when I first got the Pixel 4 XL, and I was getting 6.5, 7, hours of screen on time, still making it through the day with my Pixel 4 XL. El Jefe Reviews likewise was getting like 8 hours screen on time with his, and then I was about to recommend somebody else, but getting like 8 hours screen on time with this bad boy. This battery on here and the software optimization and battery optimization coupled together, this is why you buy a Pixel 4 or Pixel device, is because you get guaranteed solidarity in your device. An understated gem. So that is the review for the Pixel 4 XL. Hope you guys appreciate and enjoyed it. Will you be picking one up? Do you already have one? Whether it's the Pixel 4 or 4 XL, let me know down in the comments below. Again, appreciate you guys. If you guys haven't already, I dropped episode 1 of Versatile after hours, which is where I just do a lot of talking about stuff. It's basically a podcast. The visual podcast is on YouTube. Audio is on Spotify and Anchor. And hopefully by now, it's on like Apple, Google, Pocket Cast, and whatnot. So if you guys haven't already checked that out, I'll put a card right here too for that. But again, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Your boy Versatile signing out. And until the next video. Wait.